See, when we study the inheritance pattern of certain phenotypes or genes, we come to know that some of them may be dominant, others may be recessive. In one of my explanations, I have talked about codominance, and in this particular explanation, I'm going to explain the phenomenon of incomplete dominance, which we can understand by considering a specific case. But if we define this aspect, we will come to know that incomplete dominance is a type of inheritance pattern in which two different alleles, suppose A and A1 are two different alleles. So two different alleles of a gene locus are unable to express independently, means both are not able to show their phenotypes independently, which happens in case of codominance, and as a result an intermediate phenotype appears in the heterozygote. So this particular phenomenon was actually explained by Karl Korens around 1900. Karl Korens explained the phenomenon of incomplete dominance in Mirabilis jalapa, which is popularly known as 4 o'clock plant. And in this plant, he found plants having red flowers and white flowers. He also saw certain plants having even pink flowers. So he actually studied the inheritance pattern of this specific phenotype, that is inheritance of flower color in Mirabilis jalapa. What he found, that those plants which were bearing red flower color, they were actually pure breeding plants. It means when red plants were crossed among themselves, they always produced red flowered plants. And in the same way, white flowered plants, when they were crossed among themselves, they always produced plants with white flowers. It means these two types of plants were true breeding plants. But when he made crosses between red and white bearing flower plants, he found in next generation plants having pink flowers. So by that time, by 1900, they were able to understand the gametogenesis pattern, and they could exactly know that what is happening. And this we can explain by considering the genotype of this plant. So those which were actually red flowered plants, they would be of genotype capital R, capital R. Capital R is the allele which actually causes red phenotype. So plants having red flowers, they will be having capital R, genotype. And those which bear white flowers, they will have their genotype R1, R1. So this is an alternate form of the same, gene, and it is in a different form. R1, R1 means R1 is the allele that causes actually a white phenotype. And when these two plants are crossed, then the gametes formed in red one will be capital R, and in white one it will be R1. So R1, when these two alleles combine, then in next generation plants will have genotype R1, and this genotype actually causes pink color. So neither red is appearing in the next generation nor white is appearing, rather it is mixture of both. And that is why this kind of inheritance is called as incomplete dominance, because neither red is getting expressed nor white is getting expressed, so it is incomplete dominance, which is also called as partial dominance by some people. So in the next generation, means in F1 generation or in heterozygous one, you find the pink flower, uh, and it will always be because of a heterozygous genotype, that is R and R1. Another thing you can understand by seeing this cross, suppose a plant with pink flower is being crossed with another having same phenotype. It means the genotype RR1 RR1 means if these two will be crossed with each other, because if a self cross is being made among the pink um, flower bearing plants, then what will happen? Gametogenesis will occur in such plants. Two types of gametes will be formed. Such gametes will be R and R1. Okay, so in both cases, 50% gametes will have R allele and remaining 50% will have R1. And there will be random fertilization of these gametes. So you will have RR, you will have RR1, and you will have R1 R1 in the ratio of actually 1 is to 2 is to 1. So when such type of plants will be crossed with each other, then in the next generation you will have plants with red flowers, pink flowers and white flowers. And luckily they are phenotypic as well as genotypic. Both ratio will be 1 is to 2 is to 1. That is red, pink and white. They will occur in the ratio of 1 is to 2 is to 1. So I hope that this much explanation will help you to understand what is incomplete dominance and what would be the consequence of such type of crosses if made between two types of individuals bearing either contrasting traits or similar type of heterozygous individuals. If they are crossed, then what would be the fate of their offspring in the next generation.